And at this point, you will now work to clear and align the central vertical Kathara line to complete the Maharic infusion. Now, this needs to be done working at your client's head. So I suggest your client sit in a chair and you stand either in front or behind them, whichever is most convenient at this point. Yeah. Okay, well done. Now place your right palm over the position of your client's 10th chakra, which is approximately 6 inches above their skull, the top of their head. This is the location of the 12th Kathara center. Place your left palm over the back of your own right hand. Inhale deeply, drawing energy up from your Maharic shield. Draw into your Doradic sphere at the heart center, and then, as you've been doing, energetically push that energy down the right Doradic cord into the right palm and through the 10th chakra. Visualize the energy moving down from the 10th chakra into the 7th chakra and into the pineal gland. Then rapidly down the central body current and the central Kathara line through Kathara centers 8, 5, 2, that's through the thyroid, navel and the base, and into the Kathara center 1 at Earth's core. Now I'll talk you through that one again, because once I set you off, I want you to continue to draw energy and then transmit energy on the in-breath and the out-breath. So we'll run through it again quite quickly. All right. Draw energy from your Maharic shield. Breathe it out from the Doradic sphere, down your right arm, into the right palm, through the 10th chakra, and visualize the energy moving down from there into the 7th chakra, down to the central body current, down to the thyroid, down to the navel, down to the base, and into the Earth's core. Continue to draw energy and breathe it out into the 10th chakra, and push it through that, down the central Kathara line, until you feel that fuzzy feeling once more appearing in your right palm. So continue to pull and push energy in this way until you feel the fuzziness. And to remind you, that indicates that the client's Kathara grid has, for the moment, reached its energy holding capacity. And by moment I mean during this facilitating session. On future occasions, if you have them, you may find that will change. You're almost certainly going to do that. And as you grow accustomed to pulling and pushing energy in this way, you'll find that you can actually apply your consciousness in quite a number of different ways. So continue to draw and push the energy. But bring back to mind now the findings that occurred when you performed the Kathara scan. In other words, bring to mind the client's Kathara grid while you're drawing energy and pushing it through the 10th chakra. And prepare for the next step by recalling the dark spots that you may have noticed in the Kathara grid. Continue to draw and push energy through the 10th chakra all the way down the central vertical Kathara line into the Earth's core, and begin to visualize the dark areas that you observed beginning to get light as the energy runs through them. Continue to draw the energy, to push it down to the 10th chakra, but allow your conscious awareness with the client to begin to move more specifically into the areas of darkness that you saw, until gradually you may find that all of your conscious attention is being drawn to 1 or 2 or a couple of related dark spots where you're beginning to very specifically draw energy and direct the energy down through the 10th chakra to those specific parts of your client's Kathara grid and the Kathara centers there. And it's at this point which, if you were working with other kinds of healing modalities, that it would be the most appropriate point to introduce the modalities that you're working with if you want to continue to work with them. Under professional circumstances, you would close by using the sequence 2 Kathara points to close the Kathara lines and revitalize the client's body. And you would do this both for your client as well as yourself if you wished. So if you can gently now bring this transmission to a close, take a few seconds to do that, and then we'll reverse the roles as we did before. Absolutely, no problem. No problem. Yeah. So if you can, sorry? No, you would in a professional situation, but today we don't need to do that.
We'll put all the techniques together.
Yeah.
We're going to do that after you learn to run this. Now you're just going to switch off so the other person gets their things. And then we'll go through the 6-stage process of how you organize.
Okay, so if you can make another nice job of moving around quickly and quietly. Okay, good people. Hello. You all seem very animated. Did you have an interesting time doing that? Did the people who were facilitating feel the fuzziness coming back into their palms all right? Yeah? How did the people who were playing as clients feel? Good feelings, good reactions around the place? Okay, good. All right, facilitators, number 2. All right. Position yourself in the most comfortable one you can find, in order that your right palm can be placed 12 inches below your client's feet, in the approximate position of their Maharic shield, with your left palm over the back of your right hand. And usually people working with Kathara find that the sort of slightly hands crossed position is more comfortable. Sort of like that. You know, and do what you feel best about, but people generally find that slightly crossed position is best. Now, facilitators, visualize the Hierophant symbol on the inside of your own forehead. Inhale, and on the out-breath, move the Hierophant down to your heart center and into the Dreadic sphere. So breathe in and breathe out, and on the out-breath, move the Hierophant into your heart center and into the Dreadic sphere there. Then, draw energy on the inhale up from your own Maharic shield and into the Dreadic sphere at your heart center. On the next out-breath, push the Hierophant with the Dreadic 1 current down the right Dreadic cord and into the Dreadic ball in your right palm. Okay. I'm just going to repeat step 2, as I did before. So, visualize the Hierophant symbol on the inside of your own forehead. Inhale, and on the out-breath, move the Hierophant down to the heart center and into the Dreadic sphere there on the exhale breath. Now draw, on the next inhale, draw energy up from your own Maharic shield into the Dreadic sphere. And then on the out-breath, push the Hierophant with the Dreadic 1 current down the right Dreadic cord into the Dreadic ball in your right palm. Inhale, and quite forcefully, exhale the Hierophant and the Dreadic 1 current into the center of your client's Maharic shield. Visualize the Hierophant spinning in the center of your client's Maharic shield until you sense a mild shift in the energy below the client's feet. If you need to draw another breath and exhale again, do that. That mild shift indicates that your client's Maharic pillar has popped vertically upward from the shield, activating the client's bioenergetic field. Now, draw energy on the inhale from your own Maharic shield into your Doradic sphere on the next in-breath. And on the out-breath, push the energy down both Doradic cords into the balls and the palms of your hand. Visualize the 12-tree Kathara grid within the client's body. You prepare now to run the Maharic infusion through the small chakra points in the feet. So draw energy from your shield into your Doradic sphere. Push energy down your arms into the palms, into the client's 12-tree Kathara grid, through the small chakra points in their feet. Now I'm going to move your hands to a new position. So take your right palm onto the bottom of your client's left foot and place your left palm on the top of their foot, facing back towards your own right palm, making a sandwich. Inhale, and then exhale energy from your Doradic sphere down through the right Doradic cord into your right palm and into the sole of the client's foot. Repeat that inhale and breathe out, visualizing the green, violet, silver energy traveling up the Kathara line on the left side of the body. Continue to draw energy and push energy into their left foot until you begin to feel that fuzzy energetic feeling coming out of their foot towards your own palm. Okay, that should be good. Now move your right palm onto the bottom of your client's right foot and place your left palm on top of their right foot facing your right palm, making the sandwich again, and repeat the process. So inhale, drawing the energy, and push the energy from your Doradic sphere through the right Doradic cord, down through your right palm into the sole of the client's foot. Pull the energy up, push the energy out, visualizing the green, violet, silver energy traveling up the Kathara line on the left side of the body. That's good. Just continue to work it like that until you begin to feel that fuzziness building up, coming back into your palm. Okay, we now move into the position around your client's head as we prepare to clear and align the central vertical Kathara line to complete the Maharic infusion. Is everybody ready? All right. Position your right palm over the client's 10th chakra, 6 inches above their head. The location of the 12th Kathara center. Cover your right hand with your left palm. Pull energy from your Maharic shield into your Doradic sphere and then exhale energy down the right duodic cord into the right palm and through the 10th chakra. So begin the pull and push process once more. And as you push the energy out down to the 10th chakra, visualize it moving down from the 10th into the 7th of the pineal gland, and then rapidly down the central body current, through the thyroid, through the navel, through the base, and into Kathara Center 1 at Earth's core. And just continue for a moment, pulling energy and expressing it quite vigorously. And try and balance the vigor with which you draw the energy and allow it naturally to balance with the vigor you use to send the energy. As you continue, you'll begin to feel that fuzziness building up. Feeling it pushing just gently against your right palm as the client's Kathara grid shows you that it's approaching its current energy holding capacity. Maybe as you become more accustomed to working with energy in this way, it's not uncommon to find some people who are familiar with it are quite, I can't think of a word for it, but you know, when we draw and pull, Shanna and I, you can hear us both go, really pulling, you know. You can hear the sound of a real deep pulling of energy up, and as you let it go, you think, you know. Don't be self-conscious. Just work with energy. If you really move to pull it, and you really want to pull a big slug, really let yourself. And if you make a noise doing it, make a noise doing it. And when you're pushing it, do it with the same open, joyful vigor. Let yourself be part of the energy. That's it.
If we're doing it sitting up, you do tend. If you do end up doing a one like this where you're working on somebody who's sitting up, I do suggest standing behind them. Some people are standing in front, some are behind, just so you don't blow on them and you're not blowing right in their faces. Because that can be distracting on the other side.
A bit antisocial too, right?
Yes. Yeah, and it's always good to have protocol to, bring your breath mints or your mouthwash or something.
Yeah, a bit of respect.
Yeah.
Okay. I think with some of that energetic stuff going there, they're all overflowing now. All right. So as we did before, now just continue to draw and transmit energy, and you can move into sort of a gentler space if you like, but allow your consciousness to become aware of the Kathara grid that you visualized earlier, and in particular the dark colored Kathara centers in your client's Kathara grid. Okay? Continue to pull energy and continue to push it and continue to visualize the energy flowing up your side. Allow your focus to be drawn towards their Kathara grid and the dark or very dark spots that you noticed before. You will find the intensity you need to work with this part of your client's Kathara grid, and you may resume a very active and highly energetic interlude whilst your focus is going specifically now towards these Kathara centers where the molecular compaction or the build-up in the miasmic imprint in this highly concentrated area. You begin to work with clearing that area with your client.
do this next? Just tell them how to put them all together.
Right.
What time are we getting on to?
We're off techniques now. It's 3:15, so we've got 2.25 hours before the so-called break this evening.
Wow. Seems like a long time.
What?
Well, I'll do the talk on the physics stuff then.
Right?
Yeah, but I'm going to need a 5-minute break.
Pardon me?
I'm going to need a 5-minute break to eat a cookie.
Right after this?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Please continue for a few minutes longer if you're moved to do. When you're finished and you feel finished, just rearrange your immediate seating area and just sit for a moment. Shannon and I are going to take a quick refresher break because we're feeling a little bit tired right now. So just continue for as long as feels good, and when you finish, just rearrange your seating again and just sit down quietly. We won't be very long.
Hello. Hey, back again. That was an unforeseen break. Yeah. I was getting a little bit tired there. If you're wondering why I took a break then, I was getting a little bit tired because I haven't, slept hardly at all last night. And my blood sugar level drops and I get dizzy and kind of spacey, and it's hard to talk and make sense at the same time. So I just need to get a little bit of, I ate a cookie and had some coffee, so those two things. My system is so used to, toxic garbage that, heaven forbid I should have an orange juice or something, I'd probably keel over. Good thing it transmutes well, at least when it's not tired. Okay. All right. How many people felt energy running, either on either side of it during the thing? Oh, that's good. That's excellent. I've had workshops where you have 3 people raising their hand. Okay. Keep working with it. That's good. That's excellent. All right. Did you enjoy that process? Yes. Okay, good. Good. Because there's a huge potential for like conducting client sessions with this. That's why it's also a professional certification course. On the backs of your binders of your course book, you have a certificate that certifies, you're technically, by taking this course, you're certified as a certificate of recognition as a Kathara healing facilitator. Now, for people who would like to take that further into being, an endorsed by Azurite Temple facilitator, which means that we have to be careful, because anybody can take these courses and go out and do anything, and God knows what they're going to do. But we have to have some kind of saying, well, yes, there's a testing process to make sure at least that people know something before we can endorse them and just set them loose on the world. Now, you are set loose on the world. You can teach what you've learned in this manual anytime you want, and you can conduct healing sessions anytime you would like at this point. But if you would like the extra bonus of 2 things, being able to take the Kathara certification test just to see what, to see if you learned what, basically you needed to pick up, if you really got it. And if not, you'd be able to look it up in your book to find out, what you missed or whatever. And the second advantage is that if you are serious about wanting to take this into client healing sessions where you want to do a lot of them and you would like to use that as part of your professional thing that you're doing, if you take the test and the test is passed, you get certification through Azurite Temple, which means you would be on a list, the Kathara Healing Alliance or the Kathara Alliance, which means you would be able to have clients call in and get reference where you would be listed as, yes, we know you are, a certified teacher, yes, you're qualified to do this. So it's just, an extra thing if you want to do it. We don't have the certification test done yet. It's about a month away. In the meantime, you're free to do, free to use the sessions and even to teach them if you would like. Now, the sessions themselves, how you just learned 5 techniques of running energy.
Sorry. Yes. Just add that when they go through the test, we send out a silver foil. We send the certificate back.
Right.
We put a silver foil on a certificate, and we actually put a temple seal on it.
Okay, I'll let you explain that. Yeah, new procedures on how we do those certifications for people who want to take the test and pass them. You end up with what you end up with, and I'll let Az describe to you how you end up with that, is a silver foil sticker that goes on your certificate and a stamp with the official Azurite Temple, incorporated insignia. So it's like, officially recognized document. It's an officially recognized document right now. It just doesn't have you as part of Kathara Alliance, where we could in good faith say, yes, we know this person and we know they took the test, so we know that, you know, they're not going to hurt you, you know, that kind of thing, because sometimes clients will call in. Okay, now, what would a client session be like? You've learned 5 techniques. Some of them are to get your energy flowing and to get your energy clear, because if that isn't happening, you're not going to do anybody any good. The last one is the one where you begin to work on a client. And this is the one you can also do the same thing on a mirror. It doesn't have feet in the head, but you can put, you know, you can literally transmit into mirrors or food or anything else. But when we're dealing with clients, that means somebody's going to come, you know, you're going to say, hey, I do this, and somebody's going to say, okay, I'd like an appointment. And they're going to come to your house. What do you do with them? Where do you start? Okay. There's an easy way to put together the techniques that you've learned so far into this format. Okay? This is called the Maharic Infusion Client Facilitation. The service you're giving them is a Maharic infusion. All right? You are infusing D12 Maharic frequency. You could also call it a Divine Blueprint infusion, because what it is D12 frequency, the Divine Blueprint frequency. All right? Now, you would start with, let's see, where am I? I'm going to have to catch up. Yeah, I'm on the wrong page in my book. 203. I'm going to try to read off here right now because my eyes are getting a little fuzzy and I don't have my glasses with me. All right. All right, there's a 6-step sequence that you would use. There are certain things you do before the client comes, so you're ready for when the client comes. Before we even look at what you do for when the client comes, you think about trying to create a nice atmosphere for the client. If you want to put some music on, you preferably put music that has no lyrics to it. Just very relaxing, you know, kind of instrumental type music. It sets a nice atmosphere. You might want to, I would say use some incense, but the smell of the burning often bothers people, particularly if you're doing deep energy work. So if you're going to do it quite a bit before the client comes, then let your place air out where it just has a little bit of the smell left. I would suggest more like potpourri or even the air sprays, not the aerosol so much, but like the essence sprays that have a liquid base. Aromatherapy is very, very useful in any of these healing facilitation practices. It's interesting because when you get into the structure of the inner template, what smell really is a form of sound. So we're actually hearing with our noses, and we call it smell. When you use different types of essence oils or different aromas, they will either assist or not assist the processes you're working with. Now, people are very individually sensitive to different sound frequencies through smell. So you may want to, if you're someone who has studied aromatherapy, you'll know a lot about, you know, how to find something that works for clients. If you haven't studied that much, I would suggest it's something worth looking into, because you can get a lot, it'll give you more frequency kick, because the person's fields relax a lot more when you use the sound frequencies through smell that resonate well with their body systems. Now, if you don't want to study aromatherapy, that's fine. You can still use a little bit of it. There's a couple basic scents that actually would assist anybody, even if they don't particularly like the scent itself. You're not going to put the scent on them. It would simply be having the scent in the room, like put it on a cloth or something and have it, you know, by where maybe a fan is blowing some air in, or where there's a radiator where it would radiate some of the smell. Sandalwood is one of the best aromatherapy sound remedies to use when you're working with core template. So the aroma of sandalwood has a frequency, has a vibrational rhythm to it that its flash line sequences are very compatible with the deep template. So when you're doing any kind of divine blueprint healing, sandalwood is very good. There's a bunch of other really good ones, but that's the one that stands out among the others as far as having the most compatible flash line sequence or most compatible morphogenetic essence to go with the processes of Maharic recoding. So you might want to put the essence of sandalwood a little bit around, not heavy, just enough where there's a little bit of it in the air. If you happen to have a client that likes aromatherapy, somebody that would like to have oils put on them, you could actually use the oils on your fingers if you were going to use the Kathara opening sequence points, the Kathara points. So you could actually use oils to rub those in if they want it. But let that be up to them. Because some people, that's too overpowering. It's too loud. And literally loud in sound. Their ears don't hear it, but their inner body does.
And some people really have a reaction to having oils put on their body, essence oils, where they kind of go, some will even break out in rashes, from it. So you have to be sensitive to your client. One of the most important things, if you're going to do client sessions, is to heal thyself first. If you're having a bad day and you feel lousy, if you're feeling sick, run your mark seal and things and try to make yourself feel better. But if you don't be afraid to cancel. It doesn't matter the fact that that might be the only income you have planned for the next 3 weeks. Trust the universe and your Christos self to guide you to another way to fill that. And gently explain to the client that you want to give them quality service. And if you really are not up to running the frequency, this is something you can't fake. We can go in and drag ourselves through just about any other 3D job that's out there. You can take Advil to suppress your headache. You can take the things to make you stop sneezing when you have a cold, all that kind of stuff. You can stuff it all down in your body and still force yourself to work. When it comes to healing and running frequency, you can't fake it. You are either going to be able to run that frequency or you're not. And if you're not feeling well, your body's telling you something. It's trying to clear something of its own. That's not a good time to try to assist somebody else. But it is a good time to run the processes on yourself. So you need to take care of yourself. So many of us let ourselves get run down because life is demanding. It's like you get pulled in a million different directions and you're giving energy out all over the place. And a lot of times, particularly people who are interested in healing at all, tend to give too much and don't give anything to themselves. One of the things, if you want to be a good facilitator, is you need to learn to give to yourself. Pretend you were the client. Pretend you were a client that came to you and they said, I'm so exhausted. I'm just so tired. I feel really run down. I keep forcing myself to do stuff. Start to listen to yourself. There's a part of you that if you're tired, you're not listening to something. And you need to listen to that part. Because if you work with giving that part of you what it needs, if it needs rest, if it needs just a change of scenery for a little while, if it needs to do some other types of activities that make it feel better, be kind to yourself, and your body and your frequency holding ability will hold out for you, and then you'll be able to help a lot more people than if you let yourself get drained and run over, where you're trying to throw frequency. Do you ever notice that when you're really sick, it's hard to even get from the bed to the couch to find the remote to try to turn the TV on? It's like something that would take no energy at all. On one day when you're feeling good. If you have the flu or something, and you try to do that same thing, it's as if you ran 20 miles just getting from the bed to the couch. Your body is not going to be able to hold frequency or transmit it as well if you're not feeling well and if you're run down. So if you take care of you, your body will take care of you too. You have to take care of it, it'll take care of you. Now, let's say you're raring to go, you feel great, yeah, I'm ready to facilitate healing. When a client comes, there's a very simple sequence of things to do. Before the client comes is when you begin your preparation. So they don't have to sit there and watch you huff and puff and get your own systems going. By the time they come, you should be amped, running on current already. So the things you do before a client arrives, you do technique 1. You'd activate your mentor. Now the mentor is meant to help you. When you have that part of your consciousness stuck over here, it's like having another set of eyes. That part of your consciousness is keyed to a different frequency, so it will be able to pick up more than what you're going to be able to pick up here, and you may start to get direct verbal guidance from that part of yourself, like you become an apprentice of yourself, where that part kind of hangs out as if it's your mentor, and it says, okay, now go here. This needs a little chakra work as well as just one of these. Here's how you do it. You'll find that part of yourself training you, because it's watching from a higher dimensional field, and it's there to help you. You've put it there to help you. You've actually sent a part of your consciousness on a mission. You've said, okay, we're going to co-create something together. You sit here, I'll sit here, and we'll work together, okay? So when you're doing the mentor exercise, this is what you're doing. You're putting a part of your consciousness out of the mainstream of what you're doing so you can watch it like from an eagle-eye view. So if there's something you need to be aware of, including if something happens to be attached to that person's field that's trying like heck to burrow into yours, you'll become aware of it. If you're doing a healing facilitation, sometimes you walk in the door and you just feel that one person came in and there must be 20 there. You just feel it. There's like a really scrambly feeling. You can also start to sense Merkaba vehicles in people. People who have real disruptions in the DNA template that come from being messed with in the astral levels will have Merkaba fields that wobble all over the place, where you may, if you're standing like maybe from here to here, you'll actually be able to feel this really strange, almost vertigo. If you tune in, you can feel it in the lower chakras here, because literally their Merkaba axis, which should be like this, is going womp, 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 womp. And imagine, if you can feel their vertigo, imagine how bad it must feel to be in their bodies. All right? When you find yourself encountering a client like that, the one thing you need to do is fortify your fields more, which means breathe up more of the D12 frequency and really breathe it up into your Kathara grid and push it out into your astral field. Fill your heart chakra with it. Make it all turn silver. And if it feels like a really bad case, literally put it through all of your chakras at once. See them all turn into pale silver light as you're breathing energy through them. What you'll do is you'll fortify, you'll make more D12 subharmonics in your own field, which whatever it is they're carrying is going to have an even harder time trying to get to you. So that's one of the things that's not listed here, but you do your mentor, but also be aware of what's coming in with the person who's coming in. They may be the nicest person in the world, and it may be somebody you've known for years and totally trust. That doesn't mean they haven't picked up something in the astral level. Right now, in the planetary drama we're in the middle of, anybody that gets out of here without something attached to their field is going to be very fortunate, unless there's people who know how to monitor their fields and how to protect them with the D12 frequency. So don't be surprised. You get so sick of looking at it sometimes, like, oh great, another one. You know what I mean? Yeah, really, oh, here we go. There's another reptile coming in. Oh, is that a nice reptile, or is it a reptile that wants to hurt me? You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, just because a reptile comes in with a person doesn't mean that's a bad thing. It might be a nice reptile that wants a redemption contract. There's a bunch of the negative fallen angelic ones coming over, some of them that aren't even in bodies yet. They're not incarnate here, and they're not possessing anybody, but they're taking rides on people's fields to try to get to a place where somebody who knows something can get them out of trouble, because they want to cross over and they want to go into the Christos bioregenesis programs, but they haven't figured out how to get there yet. So sometimes, because you are going to be a facilitator, you're not just a person who knows Reiki now. You're not just a person who knows how to play a little bit with energy. You're a person who has, at this point, the beginnings of a master level education. You know what an ascended master is now. You know what levels of frequency that corresponds to. You're very, very valuable to anything, be it human or otherwise, that's in the fallen angelic matrix and wants to come over. So you will find either people bringing them to you or them coming themselves as the people who are your clients. Because you have the ability now to run the frequency that will allow them to plug into what's called a host matrix. You have the ability to help them make an agreement with one of the founders' collectives that will help them make the bridge around their fallen angelic collective. They will literally build their pillar back to their original imprint before that whole matrix fell. And they need a host matrix to do it. And these are all arranged at higher levels, the founders' levels in density 4 and higher. Arrange these. But you will find redemption contracts coming to your door all the time, people carrying them. The people will probably have very little idea that they're a part of it, but you'll start to get a feel like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to do something here, aren't I? And if it's one of those where it's like, but what am I supposed to do? You can't quite peg it. You know, it feels like it's so far out there you can't quite peg it. They are the ones that are tending to come to you for redemption contract, because the contracts are so high you're not even going to have conscious access to it. What your job is give them a Maharic recoding session, give them a Maharic infusion, because you're beginning the process of helping them to have the D12 frequency bridge. So somebody up there, through their own avatar, can bridge them back in. And it's not up to you to make the plug in. All right? If you ever get anybody that says, oh, I know about this stuff, and I was sent to you because you're supposed to be my host matrix. You're supposed to let me plug into your field. But if somebody says that to you, know that they've been getting some very interesting training from probably about a D9 to a D11 dark matrix, that they would even be able to say something like that to you. You know, the level of knowledge that they come in with. If they come in with a lot of knowledge, but they're still coming from a weird place, they've had high training in a negative vein, and they probably don't know it. So just be aware of those kind of things. And when it comes to the basic healing process, the session process, you activate your mentor, you conduct this exercise, Mahara Space Comfort Touch exercise, the Mahara Space. Now this one we didn't cover, and I never cover this live. It's in the books, and let me see what page this is on. It's back a little bit. And it's just an extra that you can do, you don't have to do. But it can help help clients to relax.
$199.
It's $199. Thank you. Yeah. So it's an exercise that's in there that you can use if you want to, and if you don't, it starts at $198 actually, and it goes through to $199. Okay? So it's an extra exercise. If you want to use it, there's the place where you'd use it, because it's meant to help the client relax, and for you and the client and both of your avatars to kind of harmonize with each other a bit. So, because if a client's relaxed and you're relaxed, you'll have a much better session. It'll work much better. You'll run higher, clearer frequency at a stronger rate, and the person will be more open to receiving that frequency. So you can put that exercise there if you want to. You don't have to. Okay, and then we suggest doing this even if you haven't done this. Be aware that every person that comes in may come in with 10 dimensions worth of baggage, but they all also come in somewhere up there, out there, through there. They have an avatar too that stayed in the Christos. They still have the ability to have that connection. So what you want to do is telepathically, okay, make a remote request for permission from the client's rishi. First of all, to do this if you're going to do it, and then to do anything. All right? What you're saying is, okay, I'm aware, I recognize, namaste, I recognize the God in you. And I'm going to talk to the God in you right now. And you're not going to say this to the client. You're going to telepathically say it to yourself and then aim your telepath communication up into the rishi level, which is the density 5 level. And you're going to say, okay, hello, I have one of me up there too. I would just like, I'm in service to you right now. And just let me know what you would like me to do or what you would like me not to do. Do I have permission to conduct this session? Is this the right thing to do? Just to make double sure. Usually if the person's at your doorstep saying they want a session, they've already got the guidance to get it. So you'll very rarely have any, no, don't, we don't want you here. If you get that, it might be something in the middle field saying, something that has possessed their field or something saying, no, that person shouldn't be here, get them out of here. Because if you're going to run the D12 frequency on them, it's going to start purging anything that doesn't belong there. But it helps to practice for this. If you're going to start doing remote requests and talking to people's rishis, you need to learn to talk to your own first, which you do through your own Christos template. This is very different from channeling. There's a very big difference between telepathy and channeling. Channeling is when you merge your energy field with something, or it merges with you, and it literally goes down into your DNA template. That's why channels can walk around, spaced out. They don't know what happens when they come back, but somebody else took over their body, walked around, and God knows what else it might have done. Right? A lot of times people that channel don't even know if they've gone into deep trance what has transpired with that body. Now, telepathy is different. You don't need to channel your higher self. You don't need to channel your avatar self. You just need to open a conduit of telepathic rapport. The best way to do it is in the mentor space. You have you here, and you've created a bridge over here. This is where you should get incoming any kind of verbal. Anybody talking to you, if they're talking in here, and you can tell it's not you, you just I'm not talking to myself. No, I'm not talking to myself. Who is this? Okay? Run your Maharic seal and push them over there. Say, excuse me. Who are you? Are you me? Are you part of me? And then you find out. But yeah, you don't need to hear stuff in your head. If you want to hear telepathically so you can have interdimensional communication, which is fine to have it over here so it can't compromise your fields. It's from there that you can visualize the person's rishi. Now, what do rishi look like if we saw them here? Balls of light. They look like balls of light of the 3 primary colors, which are the pale turquoise, the pale gold, and the pale pink or magenta. So you can see this pretty little 3-flame color ball of light. Let that be a symbol for a person's rishi. It can be any person's rishi, but whoever it is, when they come in, put that symbol over there in the mentor space and say, okay, when you think a thought, you're thinking your telepathic thoughts, and project them over there and say, this is for this person's rishi. And even if you didn't know their name, you could say, this person, you're taking the energy signature of the person you're identifying, so it will code that into the sphere. And then you ask, say, is everything fine? You may get no response, and that means proceed. You may start to get telepathic communication that says, yes, this is fine, but they're really here for something else. They're really here for this kind of reading, or chakra 4 needs fixing, or they have a field attachment. That's why I guided them here. You may get direct information on what the problem is, and if you get that far where you're getting verbal direction on it, you will probably get their rishi level to also give you the solution to it. So you would say, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do a co-healing here. In other words, that you're going to directly show me what you want me to do after I do what I know how to do. Then it's going to be like maybe chakra work, which you would do after you run the infusion process, or maybe it's something else. Now, we don't recommend attempting field depossession. Right now, the things that are hanging out in people's fields that happen to be possessed are not what used to be when it wasn't a big game. We're in a big game right now, and there's a lot of D11 dark avatars hanging out in people's fields. And these things, even if you're an ascended master here, and even if you run your seals every day, because we're on a planet where the grids are still compromised and we're still using a lot of energy to transmute the grids constantly, there's still a possibility that if you're on a weak day or you're at any level, there's a little tiny weakness. They can blow enough of lower dimensional frequency to make a hole in your Maharic pillar. So this is why until that Maharic pillar can hold permanently, which is 12-strand activation, which nobody can have yet until the grids can sustain it, it is not advisable to attempt depossessions. The most you can do is send it to your own Christo self and your Rishi and say, this person needs some help that I can't give. Can you help them up there? Because what's happening right now, our major depossession issues are being handled by the Oversoul and the Avatar and the Rishi levels of the Founders races. So it's not going to be your problem or your job. Your job was, if they were sent to you, your job was simply to let your Avatar self know, found one that needs it. Okay, found one that needs the assistance, and your energy signature helps their Rishi to find them. Because a lot of times when the pillar gets broken, the pillar of light gets broken between a person on the, the Avatar and the Rishi level and the person running around down here, it's very difficult for the Rishi level to actually locate them in space-time because their flashline sequences are so messed up. It's very difficult to try to reach them with a strong enough current where they can bring them out themselves. So they will often guide the person through little impulses that they can get through into a situation where there's a strong enough field around them where they can make the link. Your field would be that field. Just holding the frequency that you hold, because you can run D12 frequency, would allow their Avatar levels and higher to connect with them, and then you're out of the picture. So you don't worry about it. You don't worry about depossessing other people. And if somebody asks you, there's things you can do. You don't want to tell them, no, sorry, I don't do that. I don't do windows, It's like, I don't do chambermaid service, sorry. No, it's what you need to basically tell them. You need to tell them about their Christos self. You need to let them know that they have the ability to do this themselves, and that that's how it's supposed to be done, and turn them on to the Maharic Seal Liquid Light Cleanse. If they really want help, if they really care to do it, they will learn it. If they don't, they're probably just sending to mess with you, to get your field close to something that wanted to attach. So there are ways to be in service, but not be a sucker. Because right now, there's a lot of manipulation going on. Once we get to the point where you've made a communication request to the client's Rishi identity, ask them if it's okay to apply this, and if you get no response at all, assume that's a yes. Assume the sale, as they say, because if there's something that the Rishi doesn't want you to do, it'll impulse, or you'll at least, even if you don't get words, get kind of a, ooh, okay, something, I guess I'm not supposed to do that. So you very rarely, I've never seen an occasion where a Rishi level said, no, I don't want you to do a particular thing, to the person. But just, it's polite, it's spiritual etiquette to ask. And sometimes people are very messed up down here. They've come to you already, so they've asked for your services. You're not inflicting them on them. But it's always polite to ask their highest parts, the God within them, which is the part of them that remembers that the God's within them. All right, that's what that's about. It's a spiritual. If you were to just say, I'm going to go heal this person, you might be inflicting your will on them. Another thing, when you're in the healing session process, you may find people who have cancer and they're terminal. You may find people, you may find even children that have horrible sicknesses that you can't fix. You may want more than anything in the world for the person to be healed. And that's the intention you have to hold. You want them to be healed. But if you can realize it's not your job to decide what that means. Because if you were to inflict a healing of that particular cancer, it would be inflicting. Even if it seemed like a good thing to do and it would help them right now. You don't know why they manifested that for themselves. You would be literally overriding your will over their own avatar's will. Sometimes beings come to healers, to healing facilitators, because they're getting ready to transition. They didn't come. They think they came to get their body fixed. What they came to do is get the stuff out of the way so when their body gives out, they can die well. They can cross over well. So you're not going to know on a conscious level what is the divine imprint or the divine blueprint for this person. You're not going to know if they're supposed to have that particular thing fixed or if there's something else that you're actually there for. So if you can not beat up on yourself. See, a lot of healing facilitators will go, oh my God, I couldn't fix them. I didn't heal them. They died. Oh my God, I'm a failure. They died. Look what I did. That's arrogance, personally. It may be disguised as poor me stuff, but it's arrogant. You can't heal them. You can only facilitate their own higher parts healing them. If you can't heal them, you can't kill them either. Okay? So if you take credit for killing them because they came to you, had a healing, and they died 2 days later, you're also, there's a twist on that you're also assuming, you're looking at healing in a way that's not healthy for you. You're looking at healing in a way as if you have the power to make a healing happen in someone else, which you do not. You have the power to make a healing happen in you, and you have the power to facilitate another being, soul over soul, avatar, etc., in healing themselves. But healing the self is the only thing that takes place. So if we can recognize that, it can really help a lot to lighten up on yourself. Because when you're stuck in that, it's such a subtle difference in that mindset. Most people that would feel terrible because somebody died 2 days after they came to them for a healing session aren't doing it because they're consciously saying, I'm so powerful, I have the power to heal you. Whoops, I messed up on that one. Most people are honestly saying, oh, that's terrible. I feel like a failure. I feel like I should have fixed it. I feel like I should have done something. It's like if I were good at what I did, they wouldn't have died. How do you know? You don't know. They might have died sooner because they came to you, where they might have spent 6 months suffering, being shot up with drugs and strung out on machines, where they would have got trapped in density 1 because their consciousness was so fragmented when they made the transition. So you may have given them enough frequency to make the bridge where they could drop the body and get out of density 1. You may have helped them ascend. So if you're aware of these subtleties, the healing experience will become much more expanded for you. It'll also help you to understand the concept of death, even around you, death and health issues. People that get sick are sick for a reason. Now, we all have the core template distortions to work out, but we also learn things through those distortions. People choose illnesses from the middle levels to work out certain issues. And if you were to take every illness away from every person, some of them would be very glad, but others would be very upset with you because you took the lessons they were trying to teach themselves away. Some people who are givers get sick to the point where they're totally flattened and they have to have other people take care of them, to where they're so incapacitated because they're used to being the ones that take care of everybody. Nobody can, they can't let anybody, they can't need anybody. They can be needed, but they can't need anybody. These are people that will sometimes flatten themselves for a year with a disease that's going to make them deal with, they are lovable enough and they can accept love. Even if it means you got to lay on your back for a year because your body's not going to work, which means somebody's going to have to take care of you, which means somebody's going to have to care enough about you, which means you're going to have to accept eventually that somebody cares. So there's a lot of lessons that go down in the healing experience. Don't take responsibility for other people's lessons. You're doing your job and you're doing it well. If you know what you're doing with your technique, you do it to the best of your ability, and you do it in service, not just to the personality, but to the whole identity structure, with their own avatar level and their own rishi as the ones guiding it. You're simply saying, I'm in service to you. The God in you, I am in service to. And whatever is divine right order for what I am supposed to give, that is what I'm willing to do. It takes the responsibility for making the choices of what you're what's supposed to be done here. It takes that off you because it isn't your responsibility. You can help sometimes by sharing ideas with people, pointing them back to their own healing power. It can be hugely helpful. But what it comes down to is don't take on other people's baggage as your own, even if that baggage means they're going to cross over tomorrow. But at the same time, try to share with them that idea. Most people who come for healing facilitation believe they don't have the power to heal themselves. If they believed they had the power to heal themselves, we'd all be obsolete in the healing profession because they wouldn't need to go to anybody else. If you can teach people even a little bit about that and let them know, you don't need me. You really don't. If you make yourself become obsolete, the universe will keep sending you more people to teach that message to. You don't have to worry about, I have 20 clients and that's my only source of income. I got to hold on to them. Some healing facilitators purposely will string out treatments month after month after month to bilk money out of the people. What they do that out of usually isn't malice. It's personal fear of their own financial issues. So they make the people dependent on them so they can keep sucking energy off them. Now, this is not true healing. It's exploitation. But the people doing it usually don't realize that that's what they're doing. If you can give a message to each person who comes to you as a client for facilitation, that, by the way, just thought I'd let you know, it might take 1 or 2 or 3 sometimes sessions. Sometimes they'll have to come back for another Maharic recoding because it won't hold for very long, depending on how much frequency they're on. Give them the option. Say, well, you could come back for another treatment or 2. You do need a few more, you need this done some more. But instead of coming back to me, you could learn this instead and turn them on to it. Turn them on to at least how to run the Maharic seal so they can do it for themselves. And be glad when they go away and don't come back to you because they need you. That means you did your job really well. If they go away and they don't need you to facilitate healing anymore, that's absolutely wonderful. Okay? You actually did a huge service to them. So try to do that. Try to get rid of your clients as fast as possible, as lovingly as possible. And you do it by teaching them they have the power to heal themselves, teaching them about their Christo self. If they're Jewish and they don't want to hear the word Christ, that's okay. Tell them about their D12 prematter template. All right? Tell them about their Shaddai pillar of first cause light, because that comes out of the Jewish text. All right? There's lots of words. This is a universal thing. It belongs to all of us. But people might not want to hear about it if they're not open to the word Christos, because they think it means Christian. It thinks it means you have to worship something that died on a cross and you have to be manipulated by this control dogma. So be sensitive to your clients and where they're coming from if you can. Now, when it comes to the session itself, you get through here, you're still before client arrives. You create a calm, pleasant environment where you won't be interrupted by a phone or other distractions. This means do not have such disrespect for your process and your client that you would actually have the nerve to have your cell phone with you while you're doing a healing facilitation. That is so disrespectful. You might do it in the office. You might do it at a ball game. You might even do it on a date, which isn't too great. But this is a sacred space you're creating. Cell phones out. Okay? If it's that important, these sessions don't take 20 hours. Okay? You're involved with here, that has respect for the avatar that you are, that's facilitating you with this, and respect for the avatar of the person who's coming, and respect for source, respect for the process. Okay? So the environment will be peaceful and calm, hopefully. Now, if you're in a place where it's loud, you do your best to not have the neighbors drive you crazy. You create as much of a sound buffer as you can. If you live in an apartment building with 1 million people running around and kids screaming all over the place, you'll have to learn to deal with that, or find a place where you can facilitate that's more quiet. If it's not available, you make do with what you have available and ask for some help. If you have a client coming over and you're in a very loud apartment building and there's sound coming all over the place, put out a little plea of, please assist in this healing to the avatars of all the people making all the noise in your area, and ask, can you please help them to tone it down just a little for this little space and time. You can also project some D12 frequency up through your heart chakra and push it out for all around your apartment building to form a buffer. Okay, just a little buffer wall. So the sound might still be there. You're not inflicting your will on anybody. You're not stopping them from making sound. But it's buffering it a little so it's not so disturbing to you. Because sound is frequency, is vibration, which means it's going to have some effect on running currents and on your client's ability to hold those currents. Okay? Now, okay, I'll get there. Yeah. What time is it? Is 4:15 already? How'd that happen? Jeez, we were doing really good on time there. I was amazed, like, wow, we're going at a good pace here. I better hurry up. Okay. All right. Now, this is optional. This will help, again, to activate the 8 subharmonics in all of your strands. Sing 3 rounds of the Uriya Kumnare, that's the Omeda song. That'll just begin to build more of the frequency on the 8 subharmonics in your template. That's a way of amplifying. You can also use the Vecca code exercises that we'll learn tonight. And this is, I suggest doing these because there's a little trick with learning one of them. I think it's the Akasha code that if you run this in your own system, and don't worry about trying to give it to the client or anything, it'll literally activate, there's little tiny vortices in the tips of your fingers. It'll activate those naturally, and you'll start transmitting Akasha code, which is the highest code there is. It corresponds to the God seed level, which is above the primal sound fields. It's the connection between source and the primal sound fields. It will actually activate on its own and transmit subharmonics while you're doing your own thing. You don't have to worry about where it's going. It just follows the rest of the stuff you're doing. So you would use that up in here too. It's not on here because we just got this information. This is the new stuff, the Akasha code stuff coming in tonight. All right. When the client arrives, you can apply the comfort touch. That's this one. If the Rishi gave remote permission, if you got the feeling that, yeah, okay, that's a good thing to do. Sit with the client for a little bit. And in this text, and do you know what page that's on? There's a client agreement form. Now this was done particularly for the United States to protect people from getting persecuted. What was that? I'm sorry. 202? Okay. The client agreement form was meant specifically for the States. I don't know what Canadian law is, but in the States it was meant to protect the healing facilitators from getting accused of stuff by the American Medical Association, which likes to nail anybody holistic to a cross if they can. Healing, particularly in New York City, they have some extra special laws, and that's where this was given, first of all, in New York City. It helps to go over this with the client so they understand, first of all, what this agreement is you're making. You're going to do this for them. You're not claiming to diagnose. You're not claiming to do any of those things. Because I don't know if Canadian law is anything like American law, but if you're claiming to diagnose, you're going to have a fine or you're going to go to jail, because that's considered practicing medicine without a license. All right? Now, you have a certificate from a course that teaches you how to do subtle body healing, but that is not part of an accredited college. Therefore, you are subject to legal interference. So this client agreement was worded in a way to protect, to do 2 things. To help the client understand what they could expect and what they can't expect. If they're coming in expecting you to fix them, that you're going to clear that up, because that's not a healthy attitude for them to have anyway. It's also putting a lot of responsibility on you. If you don't do miracle cure in like 2 days, they're going to start bad-mouthing you and calling you and hassling you that you didn't do your job, I want my money back, and that's nonsense too. That's a game. But the client agreement form should be discussed. If you read it to your client quick so they see what it is, and if you're in a position where you're afraid of what the legal aspects are, sign it. Like, have them sign it. So there's a record that they have made an agreement with you and that they understand this agreement, because that's right in the form. It's kind of like, do you understand the terms of this interaction that we're doing? Yes, we do. Okay. So they agreed to it, so they can't come back at you later. Now it's like paranoia from the United States, where you have to watch your back all the time because people are suing everybody all over the place. I mean, it's ridiculous. A while back, there was a woman who drank a cup of coffee at McDonald's, and it was really hot, and she burned her tongue, poor baby, and she sued McDonald's and got a huge amount of money because their coffee was too hot. So, excuse me, if I burn my mouth, I can say, gee, that was dumb. I should have blown on it first. You know what I mean? I don't go sue the people who gave me the coffee, for goodness sake. But in the States, this stuff is getting scary. So, what you want to do with the client agreement form, I'm not sure. You can use it as a model if you want to, and adapt it to what your needs are here in Canada. But it gives you an idea of some of the things you might want to cover, because in the States you have to be very, very particular. Or a lawyer will take it and say, but it didn't say this, it could have meant this, right? So anyway, that's what that's for. This would be the time when the client arrives to do the comfort touch to help them relax. Sit with them for a little bit. Just say hi, just want to get to know you a little bit. You're so-and-so, especially if it's somebody you don't know at all, okay? Go through the client agreement form or your adaptation of it, and secure the client's signature if you're worried about legal ramifications. You want to know that there's a clear agreement here, and that you're not telling them you're going to do anything like fix them, like make them better. You're not telling them that they're not allowed to do medical treatment. You're not interfering with the normal system process. So that's where the signature would come in. Okay? Offer the client the option of audio taping the session for the client's at-home review. which means have a tape player, a cassette player handy, and only if the client wants it to be taped. Because sometimes you'll find you're running the process and you start to get impressions, and you want to share them with them. I'm feeling this or I'm feeling that. Now, you can also help your client. Now, wouldn't it be more fun as a client to lay there, and as the healer was doing their thing, they're not just going around you, right? They're saying, and now I'm seeing this, and this is what I'm doing here. And this, and I'm going to do this now, and this is what this is going to do. It becomes interesting. You engage them in the process. So you can start to do that, like explain to them, okay, now I'm going down here at your feet, and there's something called your Maharic shield down here, and this has to do with your divine blueprint. I mean, you can do that. You can take it as far or not as far as you want to. But this is why, especially if you're going to do that, they may very well want an audio tape of that, because you just taught them something. They got not just a healing, they got a class, right? So it's worth having, the option to give them, to let them have the option of that. Now, as far as applying the techniques, it's very simple. 6-step technique application sequence. Start with technique number 2. This is after the client is here. Now, at this point, the client is in your healing room, preferably on a comfortable, like, massage table or something, because it is better to run this if a person's laying down. You can do it sitting. If you happen to have somebody in a wheelchair or something that can't go horizontal, you can do it like we did it today. But the person can relax better if they're, if they can go horizontal. So you get the person in position in the room. Technique number 2. The Maharic seal and the liquid light cleanse. You run yours there to seal and align your personal fields. You'll learn to run this really, really quick, where you use the Hierophant, drop it down, bring it back up into the Maharic shield, expand it out, bring it back up here, bring it into the heart chakra, bring it up there, run it up the Kathara grid, and you're sealed. You'll learn to do it in seconds. All right? It takes some practice, but you will learn to do it where it becomes like breathing. You want to do it here instead of here. I mean, you can do it here. But if you do it here, you have more D12 frequency available for you to run the session. You also have more frequency available for a protection seal on your own fields. All right, next, do sequence 1 Kathara points massage. First year points. Now, if you want to put this up here, you can, but that means you'd have to put this up here too. So these two, you have an option. You can put them up as before the fact, but it's preferable to do them here, so you still have a lot of live D12 frequency running. But after you do that, after technique 2, wherever you put it, you do sequence 1 Kathara points massage. First year points to get yours activated, which is activating those little lines between the Kathara grids. Then do it to the clients to open up the Kathara lines. Okay, so you're going to open up the Kathara lines on you and the client. All right, then you would do technique 3, opening the healing channels to activate your Diuretic phase 1 healing current. All right, first you would do this here. After a while, you will be able, your currents will actually stay on for quite a while. But when you first start doing this, you'll do your activation, and then 7 minutes later, you may find they start to shut down again. So until you've worked with it for at least 6 months or so, it's good to do this after the client comes, because if you do it up here, by the time you get the client settled and all that stuff, your current's probably shut off. So you would do technique 3 after the sequence 1 Kathara points, opening the healing channels to activate your Diuretic phase 1 healing current. And again, the more you do this, it'll start to become automatic, where you don't have to pull out your book and go through all the steps to do it, where you just put the purple dot up there, run the green thing together, point, there they are. And you'll even get to the point where you can start commanding them, where once you've run something a few times, particularly if you're using the other combinations of currents, once you've run them, give yourself 3 months of running them the long way when you have time to practice it. Then you can just start to you can name them into manifestation, Diuretic 1, and it will activate. And it will just come in instantly. And it will be Diuretic 1 current. But it won't be Diuretic 1 current if you don't take the time for about 3 months to program it in, to get your body used to that. And this is why your mental body needs to know what the name of that is. So when you get to that point, you can call it up and it will come. All right, so you do technique 3. Now if you're at the point where it pops in, you just, in your mind, go, Diuretic 1. Ready. Okay. Then technique 4, amplify inner audio visual and Kathara scan to locate the miasms for healing in the client's Kathara grid. This is important to do because the Kathara scan, and just don't ever call it a diagnosis if you're in America. All right, this is going to give you a clue as to what part of the person's Kathara grid needs the most frequency infused into it. So you'd want to put more frequency there. Now, you don't have to. Again, you don't have to go through all of the steps, because after a while, you'll know just to bring up Maharic frequency and run it through the Kathara center and the Kathara centers for D5 and D6 and into the corresponding chakra and just pull it through. You can even get to the point where the Kathara center knows it's supposed to activate and you just pull it up and push it through the chakra to turn your higher sight on a little higher and to turn on your inner sound abilities a little higher. And at that point, you can very quickly project the Hierophant into their pineal, run it down real quick, bring it back up, pop their Maharic shield, bring it back up, take the imprint, look at it, go, okay, and it can be done in probably 20 seconds. So you'll get to the point where these become very, very fast. They're long and drawn out, and they take a lot of words to write them down. But once you become used to using them, they become quite automatic. You're still activating them manually because the planetary grids won't allow them to run unless you activate them manually. But it doesn't always have to take forever to do it. So you would do technique number 4, so you can get the Kathara scan on their grid. Then the big one, you do technique number 5. That's the Maharic infusion. That's where you lay, where they're laying down on the table. You go to their feet first, activate their Maharic shield, then you do the thing on the feet, then you go up around their head. All right, you would do that to activate the client's Maharic shield and seal, which is protecting them from picking up anything in the room or any place else. Bless you. Then recode the client's Kathara grid to the Maharic shield and clear miasmic buildups. This is what this process is doing for them. It's going to activate their Maharic shield and seal, very possibly for the first time in many, many eons. It's going to begin the recoding process on their Kathara grid because the D12 Divine Blueprint frequencies are going to be flowing into their Kathara grid now. So you're beginning their process, just like you started yours by running the liquid light cleanse. Okay? And it's going to begin to clear miasmic buildups. This is where the Vecca codes come in tonight, where I told you could add them up here, the exercise that goes with Vecca code activation, particularly the Akasha, because down and through here, clearing miasmic buildups, if you're running Vecca frequency, you don't have to do anything different than what these regular steps would be. But if you've already activated your, for your personal benefit, your Akasha code frequencies, these will begin transmitting in to the dyadic grid of the person you're working on. It'll go into the little vortices. Your little finger chakras will have this relationship with the little dyadic grid vortices, and they'll communicate with each other. And the vortices of the person's body will pull what's needed from the fingertip chakras. What this is going to do is begin that process that we're going to begin tonight of rolling over the entire miasmic body very quickly. All right, so you're giving them the gift of the Akasha codes and the Vecca codes. So that would help with this part, and it's not here because we didn't get it until recently. 5 is optional. You're going to apply a light touch massage to miasmic areas, to areas that you saw in the Kathara scan are built up. Another way to tell where there's miasms, ask them where it hurts. Pain is telling you something. It's telling you there's miasmic buildup in that area and in the chakra corresponding to that area and all the things corresponding to that chakra. Your body is very, very good at telling you when something is wrong. It simply hurts or feels stiff or there is something wrong in it or it's had an injury. Even if it was in a car accident. The parts of your body that will get injured in a car accident have a miasmic program that they're running that drew that whole series of events to you. There are no accidents. There are just unfortunate creations sometimes. So you can massage the areas that you're feeling miasmic buildup or where it's hurting. Gently massage. This is where you might want to use also the aromatherapy oils if they're comfortable with that. Or you can employ other healing therapies here, like if you've studied Reiki or something. Reiki is not bad unto itself. It came out of the Draconian matrix. It was originally a Draconian healing system. However, it can be used with the Maharic frequency. We didn't get a, that time like we did in the States with that one. The whole room sighed and kind of went. But then there's good news on the other end of that. What's really frustrating is the fact that most people had to pay $10,000 to get a master's certificate in it. Yeah, that's the real sigh. Now, the Reiki system isn't bad. It's just completely incomplete. If it's run by itself, there's a bunch of code reversals in it that are meant to twist your DNA template. Now, the people teaching it don't know that any more than the people who went to become students so they could teach it. They don't know that. This twist has been in there for so long that the twisted codes have been passed on from the beginning. However, they can be used and corrected. If you're running D12 frequency in your body and you're running your pale silver current, run the Reiki codes on the pale silver current, and it'll put them back to be what they're supposed to be and bring out their divine blueprint. So they won't hurt, they'll help. It just may get the draconian matrix a little upset that you're using their healing system and the divine blueprint. You know? And there are some things in Reiki, I've not studied it, but there are some things that are worth using because they work with the outer layers of the field, so they can make some corrections, especially if you're working with them in the divine blueprint, because you're working on the Kathara level. Those symbols can work on the outer levels as long as you're running them through the D12 current. So this is where you would put other things. You can do chakra work there. You can do direct infusion through your palm chakras, transmitting hand with this on the back, and literally run D12 frequency. Just call them the pale silver. Just view it pale silver coming out if you only want to do Maharic frequency, or do the whole Doradic current through, right into the chakras if you want to. That's another thing you can do, and that will help facilitate the outer layers to take on the divine blueprint more quickly than just doing it in the core template. That's where you do all those extra stuff. Aromatherapy, if you happen to do reincarnational readings, that kind of stuff, this is where you put it after you got all this accomplished.
What about actual stuff like Touch for Health?
Touch for Health?
Body Talk or Body Talk?
Body talk.
Okay, which ones are they? I've not studied those programs. It doesn't matter which program. That's where you would place them. You could take them for another hour into another healing modality. See, any healing modality it does something for you. If it's been corrupted or it started corrupted, it'll do something negative, but not if you're running the D12 current. So you can use any healing system. The only thing we suggest is don't use like mental body programming stuff that's teaching false stuff, where people are buying into this, where you're saying, oh, one thing with the healing stuff, a lot of times people that get into the more out there aspects of healing say, oh, the angels are with us now, call on angel so-and-so. Kathara healers will never, ever, ever tell a client to do that, and they won't do it themselves either. All right? So you can use those other healing systems there, but it's very important to, if you can in your own way, help them understand as well. They don't need to call on angels or anything else. Some might suggest to you, oh, well, I'm going to call in the Mahatma energy, or I'm going to call in Mother Mary, or I'm going to call in somebody. Tell them to call them in when they get home if they need to. But right here, it's their Christos self that's present, and right now it would be disrespectful to their Christos self and to Source to invade the party. You can put it mildly to them, but try to get them out of the habit of calling stuff in to fix it for them. Okay? All right. Then to end the thing, you would do the Sequence 2 Kathara Points massage on the client. This would revitalize the outer body systems. Whatever work you did up through here, it will begin to kick it up through the outer body systems, and it will give you more frequency, give them more frequency to use with the divine blueprint on it. So this is where it may even help to, like if they came to you because they have a certain something that needs to be fixed, they may actually get a temporary fix on it. The fix is going to go back if they don't run Maharic frequency enough to reset the divine blueprint at critical mass. But you may actually get quick fixes if you incorporate these. But the fixes, they'll have to work with you. They'll have to work on the Maharic seal or keep coming back to somebody who can run the Maharic seal for them until the Maharic seal reaches critical mass where the divine blueprint is stronger than the distorted blueprint. Right? Now, you'd allow the client to rest a few minutes. It's not one of those where, okay, you've been here 45 minutes, the other one's waiting outside, okay, nice to know you, great Maharic seal you got there, bye, I've seen people that do that. It's like a conveyor belt. They run through their healing office. Doctors tend to do that. You get about 2.5 minutes with your doctor that you waited 3 hours to see. You know what I mean? You let them lay there for a bit so the energies can stabilize in the system. They might fall asleep a little bit. And if they do, that's okay. Give them about 10 to 15 minutes if they fall asleep, and then very gently wake them up. Like, don't take a pan and a spoon and go, bang, time to go. But you can use a timer. A time that you put like out in the other room where it's not right by them, where they're not going to like they're not going to go ah when they wake up and their hair stands on end. But something that will rouse them, because you don't need them sleeping at your house like for 4 hours or anything like that. Especially if somebody else needs a table that's waiting out in the waiting room. All right, but try to give them what they need as far as time. Some of them may feel dehydrated after this because the body needs more fluids and liquids. Have some water there, some spring water to offer them. You know, and offer them a cup of water. That's a good way to get them to wake up too. If they're starting to fall asleep, you start to see them going, and maybe they don't need to go all the way, and you kind of, okay, oh, why don't I give you some water now? Your body really needs to keep hydrated after something like this, and then kind of go, oh, okay, you're bringing them back into focus here, because some will zone out. You know, they'll get so into the energy run and stuff that they just space out and, you know, fall asleep while you're working on them. So you can give them water before you leave if you can. That's very helpful to them. Okay, when a client leaves, to ensure that your biofields are clear while the Diuretic 1 current is still running in your body, draw the energy up from Earth's Maharic shield and run Maharata current through your Kathara grid and your body. Run it through the Kathara grid and your body again. You already have it activated. It's already activated in there, so you don't have to go through all the processes of getting it reactivated. But bring it up through the Kathara centers in your own body again. Just pull it up in and blow it out the top. Let it run a bit. And you can also pull it up and literally blow it through all your cells on every level. See all your chakras turning pale silver. See all your cells turning pale silver. You can do this even when you're not trying to clear your fields for after a healing session. You can do this to energize your own fields. All right, but this will make sure that if you picked up anything, you know, from running the currents, if there was any weakness in the D12 frequency you were running that allowed a hole to be in the Maharic seal and you happen to pick something up, this will blow it out of your field so you don't go home with, you know, you don't take on their stuff. All right, here's what I do. The technique is there. It says, while the current's still running, draw energy up from Earth's Maharic shield, run the Maharata current through your Kathara grid and body, up to chakra 14, back down to chakra 13, then push the pillar, silver light, okay, the pillar around you, out of chakra 4, and exhale to release it around the body and into the auric field. So you'd be running the energy and then finally pulling it in here and releasing it out through the 4th chakra around into your astral field. If you want to clear your astral field, run the Maharata current, make a ball in your 4th chakra, and push it out. We'll use the breath to, and it goes into the chakra, and then it goes from the chakra through the seal out into the auric field level, which is the astral field in the 4th chakra. Okay? Okay, then the last thing you do is next you massage your sequence 2 Kathara points to revitalize your biosystems and to close your Kathara lines, because you don't need them open anymore. You don't need them to keep cycling their energy anymore. And that's really all you have to remember are those 6 things. You can use your own modification of those. You can add some things to it, but that's the place to add it, down here where optional goes. All right. This is how you can get the best out of whatever healing modality you've been using before, and you can learn a lot too, because Kathara healing will teach you as you go along. You will start to learn more technique will come to you.